We're talking with Marc Cohn here, who is performing in Chippewa Falls at the Heyde Center for the Arts. It's a 7:30 p.m. show in Chippewa Falls. Have you ever been to Western Wisconsin or Chippewa in particular?
I've been there to visit. I don't recall if I've played a concert there. And I apologize if I haven't, don't remember, but I've played a lot of cities. But my instinct tells me I haven't. I think this is the first time.
What areas have you visited up around here?
You know, it was when I was a kid with my family, so I don't even remember that much. I remember we went for a family vacation for about a week in that area, but don't remember much about it. I think I was 6.
It's still a gorgeous area around here. I mean, it's especially pretty when the leaves still fill in. We're still in bud territory right now around here, but
beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous, and the Heyde Center for the Arts is a lovely place as well. Now, you have some material, as I understand. You're starting to write. And we had some new music come out recently. We had The Coldest Corner in the World come out late last year. Reading some of your interviews, you're working on other stuff. What approach are you taking to your latest material?
Oh, you know, I spend so much time not writing that when it finally happens, I just let it flow. There's really no conscious approach. I just, all of a sudden, it just feels like there's an idea everywhere. And so I'm constantly trying to catch up and write things down. And I'm writing for myself at the moment. I'm writing for another artist that a friend of mine is producing. So it's been a really creative time, and I've been embracing it because, as I said, a lot of time goes by when no ideas come.
Is there any particular genre that you find yourself drifting towards, either in this current writing or in your writing in general?
Well, I would say, interestingly enough, some of what I'm writing, especially because one of the projects I'm involved in is writing for a great legendary soul singer named William Bell. I don't know if that name is familiar to you, but he wrote Born Under a Bad Sign. He had an amazing single years ago in the 60s called I Forgot to Be Your Lover, and he just got re-signed to Stax. And he's an R&B legend. And so because I've been working on songs for him, I've been writing for my own songs even with a little bit more of an R&B feel in mind. But still, for me, the center of what I do is always the lyric. So the groove is a little bit different maybe to what I'm doing, but I'm still mainly focused on the poetry of the story.
And also, as you write, and writing the song that you want to take to recording and actually releasing, how would you describe maybe the authenticity of a good song? The example that comes to mind is Lionel Richie, where he says he's written so many love songs, he's thrown a bunch away, and you think, well, he's such a great songwriter. Those songs must be good, but in his view, there's a certain level he's got to attain. How do you know as you're writing and go, okay, this song I'm going to keep with, and this song, it's just not going anywhere, I'll cancel it?
You know, I think it's just a matter of having done it for years. You have a pretty strong instinct. It's just a matter of, does it keep you engaged? If writing the song doesn't keep you engaged and wanting to continue to explore how to finish it, then something's missing. And sometimes you can't even articulate what that is, but you know when you're on the trail that's leading to something good. And so you hopefully follow it to its conclusion. That's really, it's just instinct. And having done it for a long time.
Talking with Marc Cohn here before his performance at the Heyde Center for the Arts in Chippewa Falls, 7:30 p.m. show. How would you describe the evolution, if any, of your writing over the decades?
I don't know. You know, I think from Walking in Memphis to Silver Thunderbird, those were very specific kind of narrative songs, almost story songs, if you will. I've continued to write some songs like that, but not as many. I would say my more recent songs are less about a story with a beginning, middle, and an end, but something just maybe a little more poetic. It isn't as, explicit story. It's hard to describe what the songs are or how I've progressed. I'm more aware of how I've progressed as a singer, as a performer. I just think I've gotten better at what I do, and that's what that's the most exciting part for me.
Is there a particular instrument you most prefer to work with, either in songwriting and or on stage?
No, it's interesting. I've always played guitar and piano. I've always written on both instruments. In fact, there's a brand new song I've just written that I may sing tonight that I only sing a cappella because I haven't put any chords to it yet. All I have is words and a melody. So I've been closing some of my shows singing this brand new song with no instrument. So for me, it's all about the song. And sometimes you don't even need an instrument to write.
Now, in terms of location, too, and I find this an interesting thread in your career, reading the interview that recently came out in the Plain Dealer, you talk about Cleveland being in your DNA. How would you describe your hometown coming out in your writing in a lyrical sense, maybe in a musical sense?
Well, I mean, I write about a lot of the places that I grew up. I mentioned, I grew up in Cleveland. I was there until I was 18, and then actually went to college outside of Cleveland. So I name-check lots of places, like the Shaker Lakes and a lot of the streets that my dad drove down in his Thunderbird. So, really, in a way, not to compare me to the boss, but Cleveland is to me as Jersey is to Springsteen. It's just in my blood, and it's obviously shown up in my writing. In terms of the music, that's harder to say. I don't really know if there's a Cleveland sound, and if there is, I don't think I'm a pioneer in that regard. I just write singer-songwriter music, and I don't think that has anything to do with where I grew up.
And on the topic of locations, going to Memphis, and that fascinating article in Keyboard Magazine, I remember reading that a year ago when I got the issue and seeing the background, the description of how Walking Memphis came about, both from a songwriting angle. There's also the technical side of that too. But you described Memphis. It was from that James Taylor description of basically going somewhere else to inspire your writing. Are there other places where you've traveled, or maybe other places you would like to travel to get a different songwriting inspiration?
No, I really don't approach it that way anymore. I mean, traveling sometimes opens up your sensibilities, and so I do get ideas when I'm on the road or on my own that I wouldn't get if I was just sitting in my apartment in New York City or, hanging out with my kids. But I can't say, like in the Memphis example, that I go looking for inspiration in specific locales. But I do find that sometimes that's where I find a song, in a place that I've never been.
Talking with Marc Cohn before his performance at the Heyde Center for the Arts in Chippewa Falls, do you see there being a line in a song's creation and the arrangement of a song between where you're still authentic to being an artist-songwriter, and is there some point where you found over your career that it starts being altered to get commercial success for that particular song? In other words, kind of make the charts or make the radio.
Well, man, if I had thought of that, I would have had a lot more hits. So no, I'm always just trying to make the best record possible that feels artistically like I'm progressing somehow, and that I'm still being authentic to whatever my particular path is all about. And again, that's all instinct. But no, I have to say, if anything, I've probably been I just haven't been concerned enough with the commercial aspect of what I do. To me, it's an artistic venture. The commerce part of it is not really something I feel I can control. And even if I could, I'm not sure how I would approach it anyway. I would love to have had more songs get on the radio. I think I've written a few more that deserve to have had more radio play. But I wouldn't change a thing because I wrote the songs that were in my heart. And ultimately, they resonated with the people they were supposed to resonate with.
Now, performing live, obviously, the people are showing up to hear those songs that they've heard over the years. But which songs do you most enjoy performing live? And are there any particular songs that you almost wish you could perform live, but for whatever reason, either the audience hasn't requested it as much, or you can't really recreate it in a live setting?
Ooh, that's hard to answer. I mean, I'm really proud of a song of mine called "The Things We've Handed Down" that I wrote right before my first child was born. I think it's a really strong lyric and a lovely melody, and I really always enjoy playing that because it brings me, when I'm on the road, back to my kids. Through the song. I find, I travel in various kinds of quartet, trio, duo, so there's very little I can't do. If somebody calls out a song, 9 times out of 10, I'll give it a shot, even if it's not on the set list. That, to me, is the fun part of doing a live show. So there's nothing I really wouldn't tackle unless I just can't remember it, and that happens sometimes.
What albums and artists have you been paying most attention to of late? Which ones are sort of either inspiring or do you just find yourself enjoying lately?
I got to say, when I was a kid, I did nothing but listen to music and then make music. And now that I'm the father of 4 and I'm on the road about 100 days a year, there's just not a lot of music that I actually sit down to listen to. And when I do, I have to admit, most of it isn't new. A lot of it is just revisiting the stuff that I've always loved. So in a way, I mean, I know there are new artists that I'm into and I listen to occasionally, but I can't name them off the top of my head because I'm not obsessed with music the way I used to be.
Marc Cohn performing at the Heyde Center for the Arts. You have a show coming up, your hometown show basically, the Trinity Cathedral on May 5th. And I understand that one is going to be taped for PBS. If so, when should we expect to see it on the air?
That I can't tell you. I don't know when it's going to be aired. There's a series, I believe, happening in that cathedral in Cleveland. And I believe that all of them are being filmed for a PBS series. It's Mary Chapin Carpenter did one. Bruce Hornsby's doing one. Glenn Hansard is doing one. There's an artist I admire a lot, a newer artist. So I think that all of those shows are being filmed. But I know for sure mine is. I just don't know when it's being aired.
Cool. Well, I'm sure we're going to see a lot at the Heyde Center show that's going to be on that PBS show. So have safe travels. Enjoy the show tonight. You're going to like the little intimate setting we got at the Heyde Center. It used to be an old school way back in the day basically on a hillside overlooking the small city there. So I think you're going to enjoy the place tonight.
I can't wait to see everybody. Thank you so much.